over the branching feature that's in Microsoft Forms. So this is what I like to call like a choose your own adventure type of form or quiz, where you can set different paths for students to take depending on what answer choice they choose in the question. So, oops, went too far. Here it is. We're going to go to Office 365 through our class link. And when that opens up, there's a couple of different ways you can get to Forms. On your left-hand menu, you might have Forms as one of your options. You can also go to the little waffle in the corner and go to Forms that way. If for some reason you don't have it in your list, you can always click on All Apps and it will pull the entire list alphabetically. So there's Forms. Excuse me. So it's when you open up Forms, it's going to have all of any forms or quizzes you've created in the past right here. And then at the top, you've got, I think it defaults to new quiz, but we're going to actually hit the down arrow and choose form to get that branching feature. It might be in quizzes too. I have not tried that, but I know it is in Forms. So that's what I'm showing. So when it opens a new form, it's just going to be blank. You have your title and then your add new button. So very basic to get started. You just click on the title and we're going to do a sun and shadows little science quiz. So when you put in your title, you have on the side a little image where you can insert an image and it pulls up a search bar. You can search directly here, or if you have something saved to your OneDrive or your desk or your computer, you can upload it here as well. I'm just going to do a search, sun and shadows, and I'm just going to pick a picture and we'll click add. And it takes a second, usually it loads. It did not like that one. So let's try again. Let's try the desert shadow. You can also enter a description, but you do not have to. I'm going to skip that for this one. Oh, good. That picture loaded. So you've got add new, and that just gives you your options of the types of questions you can insert. You can put in multiple choice, a text response, a rating. I think it's like 1 to 5. You can a date if you want it like time stamped. And then you have a little drop down menu where you have a couple of other options like a ranking where students could move things up and down, put things in order. A Likert scale, which is that columns and rows with the choices. You usually see things like strongly agree, disagree. That's a Likert scale. You also have a file upload. So if you wanted students to submit a document, a picture, any type of file, they could upload it through Forms. I don't actually know what Net Promoter Score is. Never used that. And then you have sections. We're going to use that a lot in this today. So sections are going to create like pages. So instead of seeing all of your questions in one long form, you're going to have different pages that you'll hit like a next button to go to the different sections. And that's really helpful when it comes to the branching. We're going to send people to different sections. All right, so you don't have to sit here and watch me put in all my questions. I already created a form. And so I just wrote in 4 questions. We're just going to do kind of a short one. And it can be as short or as long. I've done forms that are just 1 or 2 questions. And that's fine. Or they could be longer. And you certainly do not have to use the branching feature for every question. For this one, I am just show the process multiple times. So these are all multiple choice questions where there's either 2 or 3 choices. When you put in that question, I always like to make sure I come down here and hit the required, the little toggle button for required, so that they have to answer that before they move on. We'll not let them go to the next section without putting in an answer. You can put on multiple answers if you have, if you want like a check box where they can choose more than one correct answer. But for this, I'm not using that for any of these. And then, excuse me, we have the little 3 dots down here. And this is where you can change the multiple choice like the traditional fill in the circle with a dot, to like a drop down menu. If you want that. And that, I did that on the last question. So it looks like this. I will select your answer. And then they see true, false. You can always, what was I going to say? You can always add pictures, or if you have pictures or videos to go with your questions, that's also an option here. All right. But that's our basic quiz. So now what we're going to do is get it ready for branching. So I have my questions, but I've got to do a couple of steps before I can add all my choose your own adventure branches. So this is where we're going to use sections. So I need each question in its own section. And I'll explain that why in just a second. So to do that, I'm just going to click on question 1 and go add new, because it's going to add a section after question 1. Use my drop down, and we're going to add a section. So now section 1 has question 1, section 2, and it gives you an option for each section. You can give it a name and a description, but you don't have to. I'm going to skip that for this because I'm not really naming these. So I'm going to click on question 2, same thing, 3 dots. Oops. Add new, drop down, section. Question 3, add new, drop down, and section. So now I have 4 sections. Each section has 1 question. And the reason I have them in different sections is because I'm going to give feedback for each question. So if students get question 1 wrong, they choose the incorrect answer, I'm going to send them to a new section, section 5, that's going to give them a hint and let them retry this question. And if after they retry the question, I'm going to then send them to question 2. So I need question 2 in its own spot, because if they're all in one section and I send them back to section 1, they'd have to repeat question 1. It's a little complicated, but once you play around with it some, you'll figure out why it works the way it does. I forgot to show you the preview button is really useful. When I was figuring all of this out, you use the preview button and it lets you take your quiz or form as the students would see it. So now you can see this is what they would see. So they only see section 1. It is required. So I cannot hit next. I can't move on until I make a choice. So right now, it's just going to take me from section to section because there's no branching. It's just all 4 questions. I'm going to hit back. And so I definitely recommend, if you try the branching, to go through it a couple of times, choose the different answers, make sure it's going where you want it to. Because I found I'd make a little error here and there, and so it really helps you see when you use that preview feature. All right, so now I have my first section. So section for each question. So now I need to add sections for the feedback portion. So what causes day and night is my first question. If they get the question right, I'm just going to send them to section 2. They get to move on. But if they get it wrong, I'm going to send them to a new section. So let's go down to the bottom and let's add. And you don't have to add it at the bottom either. You could add it right here. There's no rule like where you have to add these sections. So we can go right after question 1. Let's add a new section. So this section I am going to give a title. Oops. Let's try again. That's just what I like to give my feedback. So oops, let's try again. And so I'm going to use the add media button right here, or insert media. And I have choice of image or video. So I'm going to use image. Again, you can use the search, but I have an anchor chart that goes with this that I've saved to my computer. And this was one I just did like a Google image search. Found something and saved it. So you could also just do that here. But I just want to show you the upload. It pulls up now I'm on a Mac. I'm not on the school computer, so mine looks a little different. But I'm just pulls up. I have it saved to my desktop. It is day and night. So just a little image to hopefully help give students a hint for that question. What causes day and night? So while that loads, you can enter a description. I'm just going to say hint. Look at the picture. All right, so now it's loaded, and it's going to usually default to a smaller picture. But you have a couple of options down here. This is where you can delete it if you decide you don't want that image. But you have a small and a large. I like to use the large, so it's nice and easy for students to see. And again, you can always hit the preview button to see what happens, to see what it looks like. So here's their hint. So if they get the question wrong, oops, let's try again. Here's your hint. And then I want them to repeat the question. So I could add new and just type that whole question again. Or here's question 1. I'm going to go back, click on question 1. There's a copy question. So I'm going to copy it. When you copy a question, it always goes above. The copy always pops up above where you were. So I'm going to leave that as number 1. And this one, I'm going to use my little arrows. This just rearranges. So I'm going to move it down. So now I just moved it down into the section 2. So section 1, question 1, section 2, here's their feedback if they get it wrong. Try it again, same question. Okay, let's go to the next question. So now we've got section 3. It's really question 2, even though it's now number 3. It's okay. This is the second question. On the side of Earth that's facing away from the sun, it is blank. All right, so I'm going to add some feedback after this. What if they get this question wrong? So I just clicked on the question. I'm going to add new, add a whole new section. Again, I like to just keep it simple. Oops. Let's try again. I'm going to give all my feedback ones this one. I'm going to insert media. Now this, I'm going to actually use the exact same picture because this also would help show students day and night. Let it load. And look at the picture. There it goes. Make sure it's nice and big. And then I want them to repeat this question. So I'm going to click on that question, copy, make sure it's above. There it is. I'm just going to click the down arrow. Let's move it down to the next section. So section 4 is now feedback. Repeat the question. Okay, question 3 is now in section 5. The numbers get confusing. It's our third question. Why do you have a shadow? So I'm going to click on that question, add new, drop down, add a new section. Again, I'm just going to call it oops. Let's try again. This time I have a video. So now for a video, you're going to share the link to the video, and it needs to be either something in your Microsoft Stream account or a YouTube. Now you gotta be careful with YouTube because remember a lot of YouTube videos are going to be blocked. Some of them are not though. Some channels have been unblocked. The county handles that by channel, not by video. So if there's ever you find a channel, someone who makes content that you think, oh, I would love to use a lot of these videos, but the students can't see them, you can put a help desk ticket in and request that to be unblocked, and that goes to the county office. They look into it, and if they don't see any issues with that channel, they will unblock various channels. So just something to know about YouTube. So this I actually have on my stream. So I'm going to go to stream, go to my videos. So I have I just did a screen recording of a part of a Brain Pop video. So I have that here. So when you're sharing something through Stream, you do want to make sure you hit your little pencil button beside it and look at your permissions. Make sure that this is checked. Now, if this is a recording of something from your Teams meeting, You probably won't have to worry about that as much, but this never hurts. Just allow everyone in your company to view this video. And that just means anyone who's logged in with a Rockdale account can view this video. And that way it will open for the students. Because if this was not checked, I would be the only one with permission. And when students tried to view the video, it would give them a message saying they couldn't use it. So I'm going to cancel because I already have that checked. And then, actually, I'm going to go back.
Things cast shadows because...
Yeah, I don't need to hear her. So if I'm here in this video, you can go to the 3 dots and hit share. And it will give you the link. So you just hit that red copy button and come back to your form and paste it in. And then you hit add. And it will give you that little message about only authorized users, but we made sure that everyone in the organization had permission. So all the students should be able to see this. So there's their video hint. I'm just going to say hint. Watch the video. And then I want them to repeat this question. So I'm going to go back to that question, copy, make sure it's above, hit that down arrow. So now here it is. Then my final question is here. So for this last question, I'm just going to let them answer this on their own. It's just a true false. Okay, mail. Let's close that out. So I'm not going to actually give feedback. This is just going to be the last question. Then they move on. They finish it. So that's one question without feedback, but the other 3 do. All right. So now I'm ready to add that branching feature. So you can do this from any question, any section. It does not matter which one you use. I'm just going to go up to question 1. And you have the 3 dots in the corner. And one of your options is add branching. And when you click that, it opens up the branching menu. Here it says branching options. And it shows you every question. So again, it doesn't matter which question you click on. You can scroll and see all of them. So this is where I'm going to think through each part. So here's question 1. If they get the question correct, that Earth is rotating or turning, they're just going to go, not next, I'm going to send them to section 3, which is question 2. So they don't need the oops feedback, they just need to go to the next question. But if they get it incorrect, I'm going to send them to oops, let's try again. All right, so let's say they got it wrong. They went here. You have to click on the question to pull up your options. For this, because it's the second try, it doesn't matter what they choose, I'm going to send them to, I think next should work. We're going to try that. We're going to leave it as next because next would be section 3. So that's fine. Section 3. On the side of Earth that's facing away, it is night. So night is correct. We'll send them on to section 5. Yeah. Did I do that? Yeah. Okay. Got a little confused. If they get it incorrect, we're going to send them to section 4. So they get their hint. Again, should not matter whichever one they choose here. They're just going to go on to the next question. So let's see. Why do you have a shadow? The correct answer is you are blocking light. So we're going to send them to section 7, the last question. But if they pick either of these, I'm going to send them to section 6. Oops, let's try again. Oop, not 4. See? Oops, let's try again. They'll repeat the question, why do you have a shadow? No matter what they pick, they'll go next. Section 7, I'm not going to do anything. No matter what they choose, they're just going to go to the end of the form. And they are done. So I have all of my branching in. I'm going to hit the back button up here at the top. And then I'm going to preview before I say that I'm done. So let's preview and let's test it. So I'm going to test with the incorrect answers this time because that's more pages to see or more sections to see. What causes day and night? Let's pick the wrong answer. And it takes me to the hint. Oops, try again. Look at your picture. Let's try again. What causes day and night? Hopefully they'll see the arrows turning. They've probably seen this. We've talked about it in class. And there's only 2 options. Next, question 2. On the side of Earth that's facing away from sun. Okay, wrong answer sent me to the hint. Try again. Question 3. Why do you have a shadow? Someone's following you. Oops, let's try again. So good, it is giving me all of my hints. Watch the video, and it will probably take a minute to load. That happens. I'll give it a second, see if we can. And there it goes. I can click start, listen to Annie and Moby.
Things cast shadows because they block the light.
All right, we'll pause that. So that worked. Oh, because they block the light. And then we're going to hit next. Takes me to the last question. True. Submit. And there we go. So that worked. I'm going to go back. And I'm just going to try it one more time just with the correct answers, just to make sure if students do choose the correct answers, it takes them. And you see how it changed the number of questions? When we were looking at it, this was like question 3. But for the students, it doesn't confuse them. It just goes to question 2, question 3, and question 4. So there we go. It worked for all of my choose your own adventure options. And then you'll see as students start to submit this, you have your responses tab where you can see little bar graphs. Bar graphs, those are not bar graphs, those are circle graphs. Little pie charts of choices. And then you also can download this in Excel, and it shows every student's name and what they chose for each question. So that's nice for something if you're trying to grade or just have a record of student work. And then so to share this, get this to students, there's the share button. You can just copy the link and you can post this in It's Learning, and it will take students directly over to your form. So that is how to make a form with the branching feature.